Welcome to Bolivia, Italy for Smackdown. Now, let's make this very clear. As simple as that. There was only one segment that mattered on this show. It was the ending. Everything else was more like filler. And several things here that made no sense whatsoever for me personally. I'm sure other people liked it, but for me, no. But, having seen the show, I know that JD doesn't like the show that much because it's very boring. And Alex, from what times I'm able to see him, he's fine with it from what I can tell. He thinks the SmackDown shows have actually been good compared to JD, who doesn't really see that type of point of view. I'm somewhere in between because there are parts here that just have not been good. And then there are a few things that have been alright to good. So I'm not totally shitting on SmackDown, but I'm not going to say that SmackDown has been great. It is not great. There's only been a few things that have been good with SmackDown, so I can see easily what JD is saying. It is very, very boring in certain parts. Others has been okay to good. Let's go to the tag type. Well, let me give it to you like this. When you see Damian Priest, and he's supposed to be with Jimmy Uso, we did not see Jimmy's entrance at all. Because it was during a commercial. Didn't see it. It's supposed to be Drew Nakamura versus a Damian and Jimmy, where we had a fight outside the ring because Damian and Priest could not stand not doing this. And then we have the fight. What did we get once Priest managed to pin Nakamura? Get a beatdown, and again, Drew kicks that damn head off his shoulders. And they're not going to end this type of feud. Now, the storyline for this is not much different than what Drew has been doing when it came to AJ, when it came to Jay, when it came to Roman Reigns. Always blaming somebody else. Now, mind you, Drew still can make this interesting along with the other people he's been working with. He's been working with top stars. But I got to say this. There is a point when this has to end. When it comes to Drew, he can't keep going to one person after another, blaming them for everything that goes wrong. Because let's make this very clear, eventually this will get boring, no matter how good Drew is to sell it. And the other person is good enough to sell it. Eventually, people will get tired of this. You can't keep going back to Drew to the same old thing where every time he gets screwed, he wants to take the head off of somebody. Sooner or later, they got to change this situation up. Now, has it reached there? No, because Damian Priest has always been pretty good, and the king of the streets is not bad right now. So I'm fine with it. But I'm not going to lie here. This needs to be the last one. For me personally, if I see another person screw over Drew, and he goes after them just like he did with AJ Styles, Damian Priest, Roman Reigns, I'm telling you, CM Punk, it needs to end. This needs to be the last one. Hopefully after WrestleMania, do something different with Drew. But I don't know. Moving on. We get the number one contendership for the U.S. Championship. And we did see LA Knight talking with Braun, saying that I hope you take his head off. And he says, well, if I do, me and you, we're going to have this. And he says, fine. Okay, yeah. So we get the match. And since this is with the big boys again, let me give it to you like this. We had Bronson Reed go up against a Braun Strowman. And their feud was good. Now we have Braun Strowman doing the same thing with Jacob Fatu, who is a lot more agile than Braun, who may not be as big as him, but he really makes every hit impactful. And to be honest, I'm not against Braun. I don't hate Braun. But if you see Braun overall as his tool set for his mic skills, his look, his characters, in-ring work, how he is doing psychology in the ring, Jacob is way better. So you have Braun here. And Braun's not bad. He's easily above average. And here's Jacob. And you can see that during the match. how they worked the match, because it was more about Jacob leading the match than Braun leading the match. But what did we get? Braun wins the match by DQ because Jacob looked like he was about to lose, and you see the former bloodline of Solo and Tama Tonga go in and try and save him. And Jacob is so freaking pissed, which is good because they're showing the division between Jacob and Solo. So what I believe is going to happen here, the wedge has already been done. Jacob is getting sick of Solo. And Solo supposedly is trying to use Jacob to get back somewhere. And Jacob knows it. He obviously can see it. And he's pretty much saying, brah, you fucked me over. And Solo's trying to say, we're trying to save you. He says, no, I don't need you. You better watch your back, brah. I'm done. And he walks away. So when this was going on, you can see Tama Tonga lowering his head. He knows this is coming. He knows what's about to happen. And so do I. It is obvious that Tama Tonga is going to have to make a decision. Is he going, and this is just me, he's either going to be backing Jacob or he's going to back Solo. He's going to have to make a decision sooner or later. Which one is he going to stick with? Because right now, that wedge is already there. And sooner or later, when they start throwing hands, he's going to have to decide who is he going to be on the side of. That's what it looks like to me personally. You guys can tell me below. Next, the match that way too long and did not look realistic at all. Zelina Vega versus a Piper Niven. Let's make this very clear. Did that match look good to you? Look, I'm not against Zelina Vega. I actually know from seeing her work in TNA. I've seen how she works. She's not a bad wrestler. NXT, she wasn't a bad wrestler either when she was working with Santos Escobar and working with Delgado Del Fantasma. I'm telling you now, she can wrestle. But she needs to wrestle the right type of person. And she went up against Piper, and it didn't look right. Who she should have went up against? Alba Fire. Alba Fire would have been a better opponent than Piper. What it should have been was, since Alba is in this group right now for the U.S. champion in a Chelsea Green, she should have been the first front line. Then if she lost, then you could do something with Piper and her, and you could build that up going into Chelsea. And you could have had someone help a Zelina Vega. You could have done something. You could have had one of the women in the back get pissed off at Piper Niven and Chelsea Green and helped her, like Michin. Because when you see this match, even though the Bologna, I'm mispronouncing, I'm sorry. I'm bad with names. The fans were still loud for her. They wanted her to win, but you could see it just wasn't working. And it's not all Zelina Vega's fault. Look, Piper works with much bigger women. She just does. Zelina's a very small woman. And Zelina doesn't have the type of wrestling set that most of the women that Piper Niven goes up against. So it just looked sloppy. It looked sloppy for Zelina, and it looked sloppy for Piper Niven. And in the end, Zelina wins the match, which I'm like, really cannot, I can't agree with that. It looked sloppy, and it was too long. That match was way longer than it should have been. Now, it could be due to the fact that Aleister Black is coming back. That's what I believe. Aleister Black is back, or is about to be seen, so they're doing this for Zelina. It doesn't mean she's going to win the U.S. title. It's just they're giving her this, like they did the last time. When she was trying to get the world title, we're getting the same type of situation. But this is just me, and I want to make this very clear. I'm not against Zelina. I actually like Zelina Vega. I really do. But it should have been structured better. You should have had Alba Fire be the one that she had to go up against first. At least with Alba Fire being a smaller woman and more agile, that she could have made it look better. But it's just me moving on. Liv Morgan versus, oh my gosh, here's another one. Let's make this very clear. This is Jade Cargill. And understand, I like Jade. I really do like Jade. But this is Jade Cargill. This is Liv Morgan. You can say a lot about Liv. You may not like her all the time. You may think she's just another blonde who gives a fuck. She has improved herself over the last near 2 years. She had to work hard to work on her skills, as well as working on a mic, as well as working on a character. She worked hard on it, and she went from being like here, this is average. She's here, easily near main event. She's earned it, whether you like it or not. And when you look at Jade Cargill, it is like she should have gone to NXT and worked there for a while to develop her skill set as well as her character. When you see how she spoke, and when you definitely saw when she was working in the ring, that match looked terrible. And I still like Jade, but I'm honest. I will tell you how bad that match looked. If it wasn't for the fact that Naomi came out and whacked her in the face with Liv's own title belt, this, if she had won it, would have looked bad. But it happened. Naomi came out, distracted her, pissed her off. We got where it was about to be an Oblivion. It was turned into a backbreaker. Well, not backbreaker. She was basically put on the back of the knee. But once it was over and she lost, and you see Naomi get into that ring and started pounding that ass, it made me realize one thing. And only one thing. Again, I say this. And if anybody says she looked great killing a Jade Cargill, yeah. But it still means the same thing. Naomi should have never returned to TKO WWE. I know you're going to say, dude, why do you keep saying this? What do you think is going to happen to Naomi? She is not going to win against Jade Cargill. If she does, it makes no sense other than Naomi was not the one who attacked her. It was Bianca Belair, like I said, which then on top of it makes it worse because you set up Naomi and made her lie for Bianca, which in the end will mean the same thing. Naomi is being used again to promote another storyline. In this situation, if she isn't the one who attacked Bianca Belair, if she is, which she seems to be, she's going to lose to Jade Cargill. And it's not going to be good for her. Because again, they're only using her to promote people they want. But if it was Bianca who attacked Jade, it makes it even worse. Because you're using Naomi to hide the fact that Bianca was the one who did it. And then being a lackey, she's going to be a lackey to Bianca, she's going to get pounded 10 ways to Sunday by Jade Cargill multiple times before Jade finally meets Bianca in the damn ring. And it still doesn't mean anything for Naomi. So either way, Naomi is screwed. And it pisses me off that this girl who went through so much, who decided not followed a Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. She made her own choice to leave the company and to redefine herself because she was sick of wrestling. What they did to her for so many years, she was tired of it. And she had to go to TNA to revigorate herself, to love wrestling again. And instead of staying in TNA, staying there, not going to AEW because AEW would just use her for matches. They would not give her storyline. At least in TNA, she would have some decent storyline. She decided not to. She went back. What has she done? I question anyone. What has Naomi done since she came back? People still love her. That's not what I'm talking about. And if you say, dude, people love her, it's not about her being loved. It's about what did they do with her. And understand, as I've told you so many times, where no one fully understands, some people do, but many don't. It's not about what work you did outside the company and how people loved you, or even the work you did before when you were in the company. It's about what they do with you now. And what they've done with Naomi is promote her to put other people over, like Tiffany Stratton multiple times, Bayley multiple times, now working with Bianca, working with Jade Cargill. When is it about Naomi? Hasn't been. Even the story she's in with Bianca. This is about helping Bianca because she believed Bianca is being screwed over and used by Jade Cargill. It's never about Naomi. It's about everyone else. Moving on. Final match. We got this. Well, it's not a final match to be honest, but it felt like one because of the fighting. Well, actually was a match, but then it's not a match at the same time. Look, when you bring the Street Profits out and let them talk about the 4-year journey to get back to title reigns, it was a nice story. But then you bring out Legado del Fantasma. You actually believe that they were going to win the match. This was a squash. Even though it didn't look like a squash match, it was a squash match. You know why? This was not about, at all, about Legado. It wasn't. This wasn't about it. This wasn't about Santos. This wasn't about Alberto Carrillo or Angel. It was nothing about it. It was about the Street Profits and building them up to deal with whoever is going to be the one who's going to be challenging them next. Now, that was about Pretty Deadly. But in the end, even though Pretty Deadly is getting this moment, and it will be in another country, it felt dumb. I would have rather had a segment than actually have a match with Legado del Fantasma. At least Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, they could have set them up to go against Pretty Deadly and try to challenge for their number one contendership. That would have been more interesting, and they could have tried to build up into that. No, they just ended it now. I don't agree with it. It's dumb. I didn't like it. But this is just me. The 2 segments I'm going to talk about now is what the show is about. Well, one of the segments. The other one is more of a minor one, even though it's good. Let's talk about Randy Orton. How he was being cheered. People still love to sing his song. I am telling you right now, for years no one sang his song. But now they do. And it took almost 20 years for people to finally see how special he is. Now, I want to make this clear. As someone who was not totally a Randy Orton fan, I didn't love Randy. I didn't. There were parts I did like about Randy, but I never loved him. I love Randy. I love him now because he's reached a point where he now has come into his own as a real pro wrestler. Before, he was mostly about a legacy pro wrestler. Someone who's the son, or in this case, the grandson, being a 3rd-generation wrestler. He didn't feel like a legitimate pro wrestler. He felt like the grandchild or child of a pro wrestler that has become famous. But now, after the years that he's worked and after his back problems and then going away for a while and then coming back, and the way he does his work now, he learned that, look, I want more. I feel like you need more. And now you can hear as he's doing his promos, it's an entirely different person. He is not like the Randy Orton of 10 years ago. Legitimately, he don't sound the same. He doesn't act the same. He doesn't feel the same. He legitimately feels completely different. And I love that about him. He's earned it because he learned when he was acting the way he was before, grew out of it, and then said, you know what, I'm going to learn acting, I'm going to work on my body, and I'm going to change my attitude to people and to myself. And it shows in his promos. And then when you see what he does when he deals with a KO. KO comes out and he says, you know what, when it came to Sammy, he deserved what he got. When it came to Cody, he deserved what he got. But you, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I should never did. And as you gone through it like me, you know you'll do something. You get so angry you don't care. And you make mistakes that you wish you never made. And he apologized. And then he said, look, I want to put this behind us. If I can forgive you for what happened with Cody, you choosing Cody over me, and you can forgive me for the pile driver, let's put it behind us. Let's become a tag team and let's go to WrestleMania. And the answer he gave, I felt was done very well. He made it very clear. You know, if I was like who I used to be, because he did also say the reason I stopped you from punting Carmelo Hayes is to save you from itself. He said, you know, if this was me years ago, I would have just ran down there and just kicked your ass. But what you stated was intriguing, and I think I'll think about it. And he says, nah, you know, I'm good. I'm just going to go and whoop that ass. You did me a favor. You saying that you stopped me from, you apologized for dropping in my head. Well, guess what? I'm getting voices in my head, and they counsel me, as he usually says. And he says that I should just whoop that ass. So we are getting a match at WrestleMania. There's no way they're not going to do this match. They are going to do the match between Kevin and the question here for me is, what day is this match going to be? Is it going to be on night 1 of WrestleMania or night 2 of WrestleMania? I'm not sure. I'm thinking about maybe it could be night 2, because I think this should be night 2, not night 1, but I think they may do it night 1. But I'm hoping it'll be more of a night 2 thing. But that's me. Finally, the other segment, who is the best? That's the title. Let me give it to you like this. I had to watch this twice. I watched it, then I had to play through it again without all the stuff in between where they were singing and cheering for Seth, Roman, and CM Punk. So I watched the general bit, then I went back and I watched it again. It was the wisest thing to do to gauge what I'm really looking at here, because YOT, your tribal chief, YTO, instead of, wait a minute, I messed that up, YTC, I was right the first time. Your tribal chief was so over, and he made it very clear he's got a problem with Seth, and he's got a problem with Punk. But then Punk comes out later. You would think he would come next. I thought he might have came next, but he did not. It was Seth who came out next. And he made it very clear, you should have let me finish him, because he's the most greatest threat to this company and to this industry. But I understand, me and you, there's too much here. We made each other. You wouldn't be anything without me, and I wouldn't be anything without you. And we have written many pages, and we need another page written in our chapter of our book. But as he's taking open his shirt, or jacket more, we get Punk coming out. And unlike Roman, who spoke a long time, and Seth, who spoke a long time, Punk didn't speak that long. He made it very clear, I don't give two flips about either one of you, because neither one of you could beat me without the other. And he says to Paul, me and you, we still got some talk, because I still got a favor. And I will talk to you later, but I have to thank you for delivering Roman on the silver platter to me. And Roman's going like, what? And he says, I don't know what he's talking about. That's what Paul did. And then the fight breaks out, where all three of them beat the living crap out of each other. I do worry a little bit about Seth, because the way his head hit that turnbuckle, because as the initial fight happened, you see Roman grab him and really throw him hard into that top turnbuckle, and he whiplashed a bit. It's one of the dangers about having that round turnbuckle instead of the one that TNA uses and AEW uses. It's a more broad one. It's a bigger, more of a bigger footprint, a bigger surface area that can give you a little bit more protection, because WWE still does the turnbuckle similar to boxers. And to be honest, I would rather see them do the bigger one, because that will give a little bit more protection to the wrestler, particularly if that turnbuckle gets turned wrong. You can get a Brock Lesnar who, yeah, they did take off the turnbuckle, and he got cut right here from the rings that was from the turnbuckle. Well, not the turnbuckle, but from the ropes. But I will say this. Each one of them pointed to WrestleMania, so it's obvious they're going to do a triple threat. There's no other way to do it. Do I want to see Roman in a triple threat? No. Do I want to see Seth in a triple threat? No. Do I want to see Punk in a triple threat? No. Each one of them has earned a main event on their own. But as it stands, as three of the most top stars they have, it is obvious a triple threat is the wisest thing to do with all three of them, because even if I don't want to see them each in a triple threat with somebody else, because I don't want to see Roman in triple threat with the Bloodline. I don't want to see Seth in a triple threat with Drew or Damian Priest, and I definitely don't want to see Punk with Damian Priest or Drew or anyone else. But all three of them, it makes the best sense. So this show was more about the two segments, more than it was about the wrestling. But it's just me. Tell me how you feel below. Give this video a like or two if you don't mind. Peace.